Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Multifamily Chronicles. I'm your host, Adrian Danila, and today we have in a studio a very, very interesting guest, a guest that I've been trying to get for probably well over 2 or 3 years. His name is Travis Couick.
There you
Travis,
go.
welcome to the show.
I appreciate you, Adrian. I'm excited to be here. Sorry, it's taking a little bit to get out here, but it's been fun. It's been fun actually. I'm probably more interesting now than I would have been 2 or 3 years ago anyway. So
Uh, Travis is the president of Stack Partners. Travis, I want you to start by introducing yourself to the audience a little bit. Just tell us about your company, because you own this company, you started this company. Tell us about the company, how everything started, and how it evolved. Right? How long you been around? How did the vision evolve and everything, and where we are today?
that's a long and loaded question there, Adrian. So bear with me on the answers. But it's been an evolution, and I think a lot of us over time we have to go through several evolutions of ourselves to be able to get to where we are today. And just trail it all the way back. I was when I got out of college, went to Appalachia State, got a marketing degree. Grew up as my dad was a wallpaper and paint contractor growing up after he got out of the corporate world. So a little entrepreneurial spirit there. My mom was kind of on the same path with in the real estate world and art studio later in life, and so got a little bit of that fit and flavor and to see what that looks like. But when I got out of school, went to work for Sherwin-Williams for 11 years. Learned a whole lot about business development, operations, client care, all of that through that 11-year career there. Had 8 different roles within that. Brought me down here to Atlanta from Charlotte, and really grew my the personal side. Had a couple kids and have done everything with them. But on the business side of things, the evolution was when I hit that 11th year, I had a couple of goals that I wanted to hit. If we gotten there, would have stayed with Sherwin-Williams, probably still be with them today. But got out on the contracting side. One of my clients that was based out of Charlotte asked me if I was still happy doing what I was doing, and I said, "Hey, that's the answer is yes," until it became no. And so when I decided to jump on with them and created a market for them down here in the Atlanta market, did business development operations on the multifamily renovation side. So same thing I'm doing now for somebody else. You know, now almost 20 years ago. I guess it's been almost 20 years since I made that jump. Um, did that with them for about 4 or 5 years. Learned how to get really consistent in the message that you're putting out there in the market and build that nice reputation. But there was a really conservative approach to business with those guys. So being the young guy that I was at the time, I'm like, hey, let's see if we can grow this thing a little faster. And I jumped on with another group after about 4 or 5 years. Jumped on with another group. We got really aggressive in the market coming out of that 2011 phase, where everybody was buying things really really cheap. On the contracting side, we're putting a whole lot of capital into the projects and really learned a whole lot on that value proposition, redevelopment, reposition of properties, and what that looked like. Got into a little Asian import and that kind of thing as well during that period. So really expanded the opportunity and that in the offering that I was able to give to a lot of my clients and friends and relationships that we had grown over the previous 10 years. Um, got to a point where it was like, hey, there's a better way to do what we're doing, and really wanted to take what I was able to offer to the relationships and friendships in the industry and take it to another level. And so created Stag Partners in 2015. Stag is actually short for Stella, Taylor, Abby, and Gabby. So it's my 3 daughters and my wife. So it's a little bit ironic because Stag is typically a grumpy male deer running around in the woods, by himself, but he's comprised of 4 women. So it's a little different thought process. But the partners piece is actually the most important piece outside of family. But the partners piece is really an understanding that we could all do things better together in a collective. The power of two is much better than the power, together is much better than the power of two individually. And so, we really want to focus on that partners, clients, our team members, our trade partners, vendors, suppliers. We all look at it as partners. So we've really developed that mentality. But it's starting Stag. It's one of those situations where when you're starting a business, you kind of have two paths. path A is, keep it easy, keep it kind of, contained, and take care of the relationships that have taken care of you over the last 10 years and continue that, or go do the full scale, business, and go find capital funding and do all that kind of fun stuff. And let's get out in the market and make a monster. A is always the easier route. And at that point in time, I was like, let's go A until we got to go B. And then, so 3 years in a row, we doubled kind of the revenues over those 3 years, really grew the business, looking to develop what we can do to create a process that's really good for our clients and deliver best in class mentality and what we're doing, understanding all of that. And doubling business 3 years in a row, you get to the point where it's like, me personally, I'm gonna have a heart attack, or I'm gonna upset some clients because we're not gonna deliver what we expect. And so then at that point, I decided, hey, let's create the scale. We got into, I've got a bunch of books back here in the back. There's a whole lot of knowledge that gets shoved into my head through those. But then another platform that we adopted to really work on the business and understand what processes and that kind of thing that we can put in place to be consistent for our clients, have the same outcomes no matter where we are. Done work on the multifamily GC side from Manhattan to Texas. Love the Southeast, live in the Southeast mostly. I want to be able to drive and go visit clients in that market. And so over time, we've developed into, Stag as we are today, where we've got scale business opportunities in both or all the states touching Georgia, including Georgia. And we're going to continue to invest in those relationships that have gotten us to where we are today. And, obviously you've been a great relationship for me over the last, I guess, 10, 15 years that we've known each other. And so, does that answer the question that you posed there, Adrian? Or, there's a whole lot more to it, but it's that kind of brings us to today and the evolution of where we're going to continue to grow. So
You sure did answer my question. I think we're gonna go down the road and come back to some things that stag related, some things that are very specific to how you run your business. Now I wanted to go back a little bit to your 11 years that you spent with Sherwin-Williams,
Mhm.
before creating Stack Partners, and I want to ask you, what were the lessons that you learned over there, being a Sherwin-Williams, that you took with you in your current business and you implemented? What are some great things that you learned along the way over the 11 years tenure that you had
Sure.
with them?
Sure. Yeah, that was a fantastic experience, and Sherwin-Williams for me taught me how to understand the value of a culture in a business. Also, for the operational, the sticks and bricks, X's and O's of it. Understanding the operational side and the importance of the consistency and what your product is that you're putting out. The value of the client relationship, and making sure from a sales perspective that you're consistent in what that is for the client, that you're continuing to invest in those relationships and understand what that is. Planning, strategy, tactics, all of those fun things that Sherwin does. And the great company. And what's fun is that there's a lot of guys out there that do what I do that cut their teeth in that work, in the Sherwin-Williams or Duran, or the other paint companies in the past that are still around or have been absorbed by Sherwin-Williams. So, being able to watch that and how to grow a business strategically, on scale, that it's a massive beast. And then a lot of great relationships that I still carry today, that I interact with a lot of Sherwin-Williams folks on a regular basis doing what we do. And so it's fun to have a lot of those, those relationships that we can discuss and talk about and have that camaraderie and that common background. So that's been part of it. Yeah, it's been there's so much value there, coming out of school. So
Our our business, it's a very relationship driven business. Multifamily, I'm talking
yes,
about. For companies that don't have your Rolodex, for companies that don't have your relationships today, right? They're just starting to, they're knocking on a multifamily's door. what are some great pieces of advice that you have for them?
Um, quite a I mean, quite a bit of opportunity in the multifamily world. I think we all love where we are, what the industry offers. One thing I've always loved about the multifamily world is, as long as you don't burn a bridge, you can find something to do in the industry, right? You can get there's a job available. I don't like the necessarily the connotation of a job. I really prefer like career and starting and opening and driving careers and that kind of thing. But what I would recommend to them, and we do it in every market that we go into. Every time I've walked into a new market, go find the apartment association. Go find the Atlanta Apartment Association. Get involved. Go make a friend. I tell my team all the time, like, go to an apartment association event, go make one friend. Go make one friend, go build a relationship, go have lunch, do a follow up. Don't have to go be the blackjack dealer and slinging cards and flyers and doing all the hard sell stuff there. Just go make a relationship. And it doesn't matter necessarily whether it's on the vendor side or it's on the owner side. Um, Most of my relationships that I started off with were on the vendor side. They know 6 people that I don't know. So I'm going to go have a conversation with those guys. We're going to get an opportunity to, go have lunch with somebody that they know well, and we'll reciprocate. And it's really just a networking platform, a networking opportunity that, if you're doing the right things, it pays dividends. So that would be the recommendation. Go make friends, both sides, support group, network, that kind of thing. So
One of the things that I've heard, and I'm hearing very often, right? And when I was on the operations side, I thought about it the same way, right? Is that people do want to, like, they don't want to be sold on anything. Like, when you approach someone and you're trying to sell them something, the typical reaction is like a pushback, or like, you might just deter them, push them away from you, instead, like, getting them closer to make a decision about buying. Build the relationships. Now, I'm thinking, what is the advice for someone, Travis, that's like just getting started, right? They're starting with very little to maybe no capital, right? And although this, I think it's an amazing piece of advice, build relationships, how long they could be in a game and build some relationship until they could actually ask for a sale. So I think that period of time is critical, that nobody is really talking about. And I like to get your take on that. How do you get in if you have no relationship that you're bringing with you, and you're just starting a new business without actually starting to ask for sales, because you gotta make some income, bring some sales in, so you could make a living, like,
yep,
keep your company alive, keep your dream alive.
sure. A lot of different avenues, a lot of different paths to get there. It, and if I'm taking my stag hat off and just put myself into first time entrepreneur walking into the room of 1,000 people that are like your new best friends, right? And that's what you wind up with a lot of times in the multifamily events. But even not just that, but just a one-on-one conversation with a client. Um, I think you've got to meet them in their space. You have to understand, what are our clients' challenges. I challenge my team all the time. First conversation you have with somebody, it's kind of a qualifying conversation. You got to understand, like, what does your client partner look like? Yeah, what's your the demographic, psychographic, geographic, what's that, all that stuff. What's the client look like that's a good partner for you, and how can you be a good partner for that client? What do you bring to the table that's unique, that's different than what every other X kind of company does? Bring that to the market and understand that. And so when you're talking to the client, for me, it's a lot more questioning than it is presenting. I don't if I talk a lot. I talk probably more than I should, but in those qualifying conversations, understand where their challenges are. Do you have something that helps solve that problem? And if you do, let's talk about that. Let's see how I can help you solve a problem that you just don't have a solution for today. And if we can do that for you, then or if someone can do that for another client, that's a good opportunity there. You also have to understand, from a brand new vendor in the industry, who are the decision makers. This is sometimes the multifamily game can be a little bit of a bowl of spaghetti. you got to kind of weave your way through it and figure out who's actually the decision maker for what you're offering. And so being able to do that, understand the magnitude of what they can bring to the table. Like for us, we have some smaller single owners who they own properties. They're not going to have a lot of transactions throughout the year. They're not going to do a whole lot of work, but they need a trusted partner that they can get that work done. And so we understand with them, how we want to assist them. And then you have some beasts in the market that have all kinds of stuff going on all the time. We just need to understand the magnitude of how and where we fit in with them as well. Is there an opportunity? We know that they have a lot of things going on. Is there an opportunity where they need somebody like us to come in and help? And I like to believe that if they don't today, that they will tomorrow. So we just want to maintain those relationships. And again, in this industry, never burn a bridge. Just understanding, like in the multifamily industry, there's always going to be an opportunity that's going to come available at some point in time. But you got to understand, if you're talking to the right person that's looking for the right thing, and understand, meet them in their space and help solve a problem for them. And then you're creating value. Then for us, that value creates a consulting type of position, consulting role. So we have plenty of clients that'll, they're going to buy a property. They call us and say, hey, we've got this situation. What do you think? And we give them some value there in providing potential solutions and that opportunity. So that they give a little bit of a path. That's a lot, but does it give a little bit of a path and a mentality to dig into the industry there?
Yeah, absolutely. Back to 2023 now. 2023 was a difficult year for investors and for operators. The interest rates went up.
Yep.
A lot of the investors have purchased previously their properties with adjustable rates. And then, when you adjust down, it's great. But 2023 was the exact opposite. And some of the investors ended up with paying double, sometimes triple their monthly payments in mortgage, right? Which made it, in some situations, almost impossible to operate to a point to where you could be 95% occupied and not even make mortgage. I mean, that's not a good spot to be in.
Feels like 08.
With that being said, Travis, how did 2023 feel for Stack Partners and for someone on a service provider side? And the second part of the question is, how do you envision, what do you see as trends in 2024? We're about 2 months in. Do you see those things, like repeating, replicating, or do you see changes? So let's start with 2023. How did it feel from a supplier partner standpoint?
Yeah, 2023 was kind of a tale of 2 years. In my opinion, we kind of carried in, some good stuff from 22 into 23, first half of the year. A lot of growth opportunities still, a little bit of a cautious mentality, understanding what potentially could happen, understanding interest rates are moving around, and watching, insurance rates blow up, watching interest rates slide up. The difference between 23 and 08 really being that, guys had a lot more skin in the game. There weren't a whole lot of interest only type of situations, that kind of thing. So it's not as easy to walk away from properties in that scenario. So, there's a lot of owners that are fighting it out. How do we continue to, create cash flow in this scenario? And so, we're sensitive to that. So we understand what that looks like. So we watched a lot of, proposed capital expense for us either get postponed into 24, put off completely. So second half of the year, again, kind of the second half of the year was, hey, you finish out that first half. Second half, we made the investment for us. We made the investment in multiple markets around the Southeast, and we actually put offices in North Carolina, Tennessee, Alabama to supplement our South Carolina office. This year, we're looking to get into Florida. So I've chosen more of an aggressive approach to the market, understanding, and it's multifamily. The rebound from 08 to 11 to through 13 and all that was pretty awesome. Just the opportunity that came out of that. In the short term, what we've really looked at is understanding for our clients, they're going to go from a 3 to 5 year, 5 to 7 year hold to probably more of a 5 to 10, 7 to 10 year hold on properties. So we're working actively to figure out what can we do to create value for them in that flow. Can we help them create an opportunity where they skip a life cycle of something? Can we do something to invest in something today? Paint job, roof job, other services, on-site services, or whatever it may be, that may help them skip a life cycle opportunity for a paint job. So if maybe the paint job, instead of it lasting 5 and you have to do 2 of them in your hold, push it out to where you don't have to do another one in your hold. That's a lot of value that affects your cap rates. A lot of fun stuff that happens there. So that's really where we're looking to invest. And then I've actually created a strategic partnership with a couple of guys to do South Asian import. So direct from factory import to save a lot on that interior rehab program. A lot of the reason why a lot of folks aren't right now doing a lot of the interior rehab programs is money. They're loaning money or borrowing money to do the capital expense. Well, the gap is, the value, the return isn't there. So we want to understand what we can do to help provide that value. So if we can save them 25, 30% on the parts and pieces, maybe that can offset some of that money cost and give them the opportunity to get back in and really do some value add and press rates and interest, or rental rates and that kind of thing. So that's really where our focus has been, outside of just continuing to expand on our desire to be best in class from a execution standpoint and relationship standpoint. So that's where we are. That's where we're sitting right now, and we're going to continue to drive that through 24.
As far as client expectations, Travis, what are you doing? What's your business philosophy about meeting clients' expectations? I know that multifamily, me being an operator for 20 years, multifamily could be very demanding when you're the client. I was one of them myself. I had to say, I had to admit. And then also there's all sorts of expectations, and typically the expectations are, can you do a little more here? That's maybe not in a scope of work, but just do it for us. Or can you beat this price? It's always like that price conversation always comes up because there's always somebody else cheaper out there, and we as a industry in general, I don't think that we're paying compared with other industry top dollar. So how do you navigate through this environment, and then what are some things that you do to meet client expectations in this environment?
Sure. Yeah, the multifamily industry is always fun. But the last thing you said there was the most important thing. Understanding expectation. So I challenge the team a lot to understand what is the client's expectation. What's the client's expectation of the relationship. We always want to have the opportunity to have conversation and present the value proposition. A well clarified scope, value proposition, understanding the expectation of the client, and that happens over time. As we do projects together, we understand. It's one thing for you to tell me what your expectation is of execution. It's another thing for me to show you that our expectation of execution is higher than yours, and we drive to meet that every time. Teams challenged to do that. We do a lot of things internally to make sure we understand what quality control looks like, what systemization looks like, that type of thing, and we'll continue to expand on that. It's kind of an ever evolving. Again, talking about evolution, you're going to continue to grow and expand on what we do. So, the key to all of that is, first things first is define the expectation, understand what that looks like, and then put that plan together to strategically meet and exceed those expectations. So that's always been our mentality.
One of the things that I've seen on the operations side is that supplier partners are not treated with the utmost respect like they should. They're not treated as equal partners in a deal. It's one of the things that really bothers me, if you wish. Me being an operator for 20 years, witnessing some of the things like that. It wasn't a pleasant feeling to see that someone is not treated the way they should be treated. So my question to you now, Travis, is if you had one, or if you had three things to that you could change on operation side, where you wish operations will change to improve these relationships with you as a business partner, what are those top things? What will those top three things be for you?
Operations on the client side.
On a yeah, if
on
you
the owner
if you
manager
were
side.
on a management side, if you were to suggest for management companies three top things that they could do better or different to improve their relationship with supplier partners like you, what would those top things be?
Lots of things in my head. Um, I
You could pick
think
more than three, by the way.
sure, no problem. Um, I think part of the biggest part of that is just understanding what a good partner looks like for them, for a client. That there's always going to be somebody that's going to be able to do it cheaper, maybe better, maybe faster. On the contracting side, it's usually it's joked about, but it's real. You got a triangle that's like you got good, cheap, and fast. You can pick two. Which do you want? Yeah. Does this vendor, does this supplier, does this partner, do they meet all three of those? Is there quality and value within that? And understanding what that value is. And then for us, we want to reinvest in their company, reinvest in those relationships and opportunities. So when they have managers meetings or um, uh, uh, training sessions or need training sessions or anything along those lines, we'd love to help, love to be part of that. And so we want to reinvest in our clients. And so for us, it's our job. I feel like it's our job to help them understand why we're a good partner for them and why we should be in this long term. And we have a lot of great relationships that we've done that with long term. And so I think if folks can understand the value and what um, some of these trade partners can do for them, that they can definitely exponentially grow their business, being able to double down on that just by defining what a good partner looks like and actively seeking those relationships. And that's one thing I love about the multifamily world, because I think we do that pretty well. Um, it's the ones that are just looking for the lowest price all the time that are not going to be the ones that are going to wind up with good long-term support. And they're going to wind up doing a lot on their own, from a management's perspective. You're going to churn through a lot of folks, and there's a value to that. Onboarding a subcontractor or a contractor, there's a value, there's a cost to that. Learning those lessons. It's kind of like if one of my project managers makes a mistake, can I get rid of him? Sure. Why would I? He just learned a lesson. We've already paid for it. He won't make it again. As a contractor, if I mess up on one of your projects, you can get rid of me. That's fine. But I promise you, I've learned a lesson. I won't do that again. There's some value in that as well. You already paid for it. Let's go on to the next one, and let's continue to expand on that. It's like any good relationship, friendship, whatever it may be. I continue to lean into that as a primary focus in what we do. We say we do renovation. That's what we do. But really, what we lean into is the purpose, cause, and passion for what we do every day is really building relationships and making lives better. And we do some charity stuff and that kind of thing as well. So, again, just making sure the core values are aligned from a company. I guess you could have that as two or three of the question is are your vendors' core values aligned with your company's core values? And if they are, and you guys are working for the same thing, fantastic. If they're not, then you get a choice whether or not you think they're going to be a good partner for you long term or not. So and I didn't necessarily go 1, 2, 3, but I think there's a couple little nuggets within that. Just summarizing that, I think is where I would ask, what that looks like.
You mentioned your involvement with some charities, and also I know that you're very involved with Atlanta Apartment Association. Uh, what what does this mean to you? This part of the business of being involved with doing some charity work and being a very active company within our industry here in Atlanta, and possibly other places too. But I'm talking Atlanta because we're just kind of both local here. So what do these involvements mean to you?
The apartment association piece, you got to take care of the company or the industry that takes care of you. So I've been on the board, and actually I did a lot of work in Alabama. And when I was on the board over there in Birmingham in Alabama, I was treasurer, went to the AOD, did a lot of things to support the industry there. Here locally, we continue to reinvest in the apartment association, and my team is following kind of in the things that I did in the past, in the Atlanta Apartment Association, and creating that value there and support there. So you've got to do that. Just to make sure that the industry you're in is healthy and strong, and that you understand the expectation there. Also building the relationships that feed that as well. But we've gotten involved in the Atlanta Community Food Bank, the can ball, those kind of things. That great causes. But there's got to be more. Again, that purpose, cause, and passion for what we do. None of our guys get up every day saying, "Hey, I'm going to go make these okay apartments look less okay, more better." That's a terrible statement, more better, but they want to make them, nicer. That's not really that doesn't get anybody out of bed every day. I don't think any property managers get up every day to say, "Hey, I just want to go collect rent and see if I can go push some NOI." That doesn't motivate anybody really. So, for us, it's really about, hey, let's get out here. We're going to build a culture. We're going to build a team, and we want to have a purpose for what we do. So we get involved in a lot of charity work. I've been on the board with Sunshine on a Rainy Day, great nonprofit that's based out of Roswell here that does bedroom and bathroom makeovers for disabled children, permanently disabled children, and it's been a fantastic cause. I'm on board there, and we've done a lot of great work throughout Georgia, and so that's been fun. Cystic fibrosis, we've got one of our guys here is that's near and dear to his heart. We do some stuff with the Alzheimer's cause as well. That's a personal one for me, and we've done some things. So many tunnels to towers. We've gotten involved with them. Just had a conversation with a new guy that's starting with us that wants to work with, or has a charity that he does a lot of work with PTSD veterans and that type of thing in the Tennessee market. So all of those things, you got to give back, and you got to understand that there's a bigger cause and a bigger passion for what we do outside of just churning activity and the opportunity to make money. That's not that's never been a motivating factor or a driving factor for what we do. So
Travis, Stack has been around for 9 years, correct?
yeah, next year we'll figure out how to do a 10-year celebration. We'll have some fun.
Okay, so for someone that's just getting started as becoming an entrepreneur today in 2024, what are the most important pieces of advice that you have for them?
An entrepreneur right now, find your purpose, cause, and passion. I sound like a broken record here, but what's your motivating factor? What is it that you really want to do? What gets you excited, and build something to one of your core strengths. What are you passionate about? It's just like you, Adrian. I mean, you're in this world. Your passion is the education and improvement and development of folks within the multifamily industry. And for me, this is the same kind of animal, and understanding why you're going to do what you do. The why is as important as anything. And then after that, be focused on your business plan. Narrow your focus down on what it is, and then kind of take that hedgehog mentality where you just kind of dig into that one thing and you make it as good as it can possibly be. And once you get to that point, over time you're going to evolve. But understand what that long picture is. Where do you want to be in 10 years, and start working towards that. I did this with Sherwin-Williams. When I first started with Sherwin-Williams, I came out and I said, look, I'm going to give myself a 2-year goal, 5-year goal, and a 10-year goal. And I'm going to work towards that goal. Once I hit that mark, I'm going to evaluate where I am, what evolution needs to happen at that point. Then you go to the 5-year goal, do the same, and get to the 10-year goal. You do the same. And then as long as you're moving in the right direction, keep rolling. You're going to have different evolutions of what you are and who you are. But as an entrepreneur today, just understand, where your limits are, understand where your issues are coming from, solve for those quickly before they become problems. Issues are typically not like fine wine; they don't get better with age. So we want to make sure that we get ahead of those. So that would be that, and invest in relationships. Go find friends. That's the find that support network, find that group of folks that you can lean into and really help bring value to them, and then bring value to you. And so that's been key and critical from day one for me. And outside of just repeating my core values as a stag infomercial here, but the do the right thing, do what you say you will do, brings value every time. So
You did mention relationships, right? How do you cultivate new relationships, and how do you grow existing ones? Do you have some tips here to share with the audience?
I mean, we've all made friends, right? Everybody's got to go make a friend. How do you go make a friend? You show up where they are, and you're invested in who they are and what they're doing, and you understand their goals, and how do you support those goals, and how do you fit into that, how do you fit in that relationship, and what need are you resolving for them? And that's it's that. If I joke around with my team, and like, if you're a salesperson, and you're married or you've dated someone at some point in time, you've at least sold one time. You sold yourself one time, in that relationship. So I just challenge folks to just, hey, invest in those relationships as if you're making a friend. And that's all it is. They've got something to do. You've got something they can solve for them. Invest in that, and it'll pay benefits, bring value, to the relationship, and it'll always pay benefit.
As someone passionate about personal growth, we had an extensive conversation before recording
Yeah.
the episode. I want to share that with the audience. What are some books or resources that you recommend for fellow industry professionals?
A lot of different things. It kind of depends on where you are, in um, in your company or in your growth pattern. So a lot of things that I do for my team. I've got a handful of books that I ask my team to. I want them to read, as they come in, and I've got some other books that are kind of developmental and growth oriented. Some books that have helped me a lot, and when you're kind of leading from the middle, because everybody's leading somebody. I tell my team all the time, I want you to control your outcomes, understand what it takes to be, disciplined in your efforts, and control your outcomes. And a book called 360 Degree Leadership is a good book. I think 360 Degree Leader is a great book that I think can help a lot of folks understand how to control their space. It helps you to lead your peers up, down. Understand how to maneuver in that space. That one's been good. Atomic Habits is another great book that I like a lot. And those are things that help. That book specifically, and I think a lot of people have read that one. But that's one of those that helps you understand the value of consistency in your efforts, and what that growth model looks like over time. We've incorporated EOS into our growth plan. EOS, there's a book called Traction. That's a Gino Wickman book that helps a lot, help folks work on the business, not necessarily in the business. In our world, contractors have a tendency to either be really good tradespeople, not great business people, or great business people, maybe not great tradespeople. So this is it's a platform that helps you figure out how to make both of them meet and work on the business and in the business as needed. And as of late, I've shared with you Dan Sullivan and the Strategic Coach Program. I've gotten into that to help myself bring more value to my team. And he's got there's a trilogy of books, and I've shared it with a couple other folks. And I believe you got a conversation with Melissa White later, shared with her as well. She loves the gap and the gain, but it's the trilogy of books is 10x is easier than 2x, gap and the gain, and the who not how. And there's a lot of value that comes out of each of those. They all have a different story about how to, from an entrepreneurial perspective, how to grow your business, what those evolutions and revolutions need to look like over time, to grow, not just the business, but for me, I've got to change myself. What my company needs today is different than what it needed 10 years ago. What it's going to need 10 years from now is different than who I am today. And so we've got to continue to evolve. So that's kind of where my headspace is, but there's a whole bunch of other fun things, outside of getting into all the David Goggins type of books and all that kind of fun stuff that just talk about resilience and just kind of maniac mindset that some of those guys have. But that's what's on my reading list.
Wanted to switch gears a little bit and go to technology. there's a lot of conversation, a lot of chatter on a operator side with prop tech, the bundles of prop tech. Sometimes too much prop tech, too much technology. On a operator side, I like to get your take from a supplier partner perspective, right? How do you see prop tech in this like property management environment, like on a client side? How much do you interact with their technology, and what are your thoughts? And then what type of technology you see emerging for someone like you to be the service provider to provide a service to the industry while using technology as a vehicle?
Sure. Um, for us, we set some of those long-term goals. So we've got a 10-year plan, bring it back to the 3-year plan, that kind of thing. For us, we want our technology to set us apart. We want that to be, industry leading type technology that our clients want. Interacting with client technology, from the compliance and payables and all of that. That's probably the primary interaction that we have with clients. Some of our clients have some construction management software that they use to put out RFPs, request for proposal, that type of thing. But it's very fractured in how it is. And so, I think where we are as Stag is probably symbolic of where the industry is, where we have folks that are fantastic construction guys, but we're really happy that they can open up a laptop and read email. And then we have guys on the weekends that like to build out gaming systems and create all those kind of, so it's a spread, and I think in our industry, we have the same thing. We've got some folks that, we've got a construction management software that I can give you a login. You can jump in there. You can see where we are from a daily perspective, daily logs and schedules and all that stuff that's construction related. You can have that. And then we have clients that, they want that. Then we also have clients that, they're like, hey, just send me a PDF weekly update. We'll have our conversation. We understand what that is. We trust you. You're doing your job, and we do that. So that's a far spread as well. So we want to be able to, marry those things together. And for me, it's about making it as simple as possible. Keep it simple is always a great principle for me. And so we want to utilize best in class, easiest software for both our end user, which should be our client, and then for our team internally. So, one of the biggest frustrations I know a lot of folks have typically in a job or a career is, I've got to devote so much time to the technology or the software or the reporting or whatever that may be. I don't get the opportunity to go invest in that client relationship. And that was, if there's any detractor to the Sherwin-Williams side of things, you're a Fortune 300, maybe 200 company now. There's a lot of stockholder accountability that has to happen there. So there's a lot of reporting that goes along with that. You only have so many hours in the day, so you got to give. If you're focused there, you lose a little focus on the client side. So I want to just make sure we're staying focused on the client side from a technology standpoint. That's the gist of it. Keep it simple, but make it effective. That's really where we want to make our technology growth over time. So,
Travis, is the journey of an entrepreneur lonely? Does he feel lonely at times? How often? And if he does, if the answer is yes to any of the above questions, how do you overcome that?
As an entrepreneur, you got to be comfortable with yourself, and you got to be comfortable with in your own head, and in your own skin, because if you're not, then you're probably in the wrong piece of it. You need to go work with somebody. It is a different walk to be in that space, and that's one of the things that Strategic Coach has done for me, is help me understand that a little bit better, over the evolution of the last 9 years. And so you got to have a good network. You got to have a good team. You got to understand, the purpose, cause, and passion for what you're doing. Why are you doing this? If you don't understand that, you're going to wake up and go, what am I doing? And you don't want that. Nobody wants that. And so you got to be committed to it. You got to be disciplined behind it and continue to drive it. That's if anybody's looking to try and figure out why they should or shouldn't be an entrepreneur, that's a you question, kind of a thing there, Adrian. So
You mentioned having a great team around you. Surround yourself with great people. That comes down to culture more often than not. At least that's what I'm seeing, and I felt in the past too. Like, what type of culture are you building to make people wanted to come to work, wanted to be around you, like wanted to be part of this? So, what type of culture are you trying to build here at Stag, and what are some things that you do to build intentional culture, to be intentional about building a great culture?
Sure. Um, I would tell you that, yeah, I mean, learned it from Sherwin-Williams back in the day. Saw folks that have been there for 30 years, 35 years, 40 years. There was a buy-in to the culture, and I really enjoyed and appreciated that. I think I looked for that a lot, over the 10-year time frame I was working with a couple of other guys, and felt a little bit in one spot, felt a different culture in another spot. And so, here, that's part of that EOS platform for us has really helped us define what that culture looks like. Understand what your core values are, understand what that purpose, cause, and passion are. And while we hire, recruit, train, reward, discipline, all of that based on our core values. So you come into this, if your core values fit, you're going to be a cultural fit for us. Where we've ever had challenges with folks, we look at that and understand, hey, where's our disconnect? Is it, we got right people, or is it a right seat type of scenario? So for us, that culture piece is really driven by, right person, right seat, right mentality, right communication cadence. It's one thing in this world to create something that's uh, professional, and then there's another way you can go about this thing and create, you know, frat house type mentality. But where you try and teeter to where guys and ladies in the company are comfortable around each other, feel like they have open communication and ability to communicate as needed about just about anything. And we support each other, and we're open and honest in our communication. Sometimes that's not comfortable, but that's okay. For us, it's okay to create friction. Friction, like tires, creates when you have friction in tires, it creates traction, which creates movement. And so you want to have those opportunities for folks to be able to make people a little uncomfortable. Let's create that friction and let's get that drive. I got a picture back here with Bear Bryant and Nick Saban on it. Those guys made a lot of people uncomfortable, but they also made a lot of movement in what they did, and became the goat in what they in their industry. And so that's really where we want to be. Again, if you come into our group and you want to have best in class mentality with folks that are all in the boat together, rowing in the same direction, we're going to be good. And that's really what we pressed on the team. And for me, ultimately, I'm continuing to work to be the dumbest guy in the room. So continue to surround myself with really smart and good people with the same mentality, and that is committed to a commitment to growing relationships and taking care of our clients and those relationships over time. And so that's it's not really a magic bullet, but that's probably the ingredients to the recipe. So
Travis, I'd like to ask you to share with us here today, who are the most influential people in your life? Who are the people in your career and in your personal life? And it could be one person that is the same, right? Covers professional and personal, that made a positive impact in your life. Who are those people?
that's a long list. Do we have like a whole another hour for this thing, or what are we? I'm kidding.
Pick,
I'm
pick,
kidding.
pick, pick the top
Um,
three.
pick the top three. That's a fun one. Um, I it's you got to throw family out there. Obviously, they're a motivating factor for everything. So, Abby, my wife's been fantastically supportive of us starting, Stag, back in 2015, and understanding what kind of commitment that was going to be, and the support that she's done there for me, and she makes me a better guy. You need somebody to be a sounding board. It doesn't hurt that we're both in the industry. That helps a little bit as well. So she does get it, and I get her side. So, we do a good job of kicking things off of each other. My kids are always a motivating factor for me, and making sure that they understand, like, hey, what's life look like potentially for you, and so how can we grow there? But my dad, my grandfather, a lot of it kind of ties back a lot into the family side of things and understanding, um, what they've gone through and identifying what their core values were and what they were and weren't willing to do to move forward in their lives. And so there's a lot of fun. Um, it was really funny. Debbie Phillips, I think a lot of folks that listen to this probably know Debbie Phillips. She's amazing. She motivated me a little bit at a point. She actually had me come and I think a few folks have done this, but have gone down and spoken at her class at Georgia Tech, and understanding what that mentality and that mindset and all that and that was. But she had me come in and tell kind of a history of a few things, but um, you know, quite honestly, Adrian, it comes down to the folks in my life. I've understood, we only control two things in life: our choices and our attitudes. And every choice and every attitude that we've ever had has put us in the position that we are in today. Whether that's good, bad, or ugly, it's driven from a choice or an attitude that we've taken. And so, all the folks that have had influence on me from growing up as a kid, Alabama fan, all the fun things that happened there. Don Mattingly was a baseball player for the Yankees that I became a fan of in '86. Loved his work ethic. He was a great guy to watch, and how he went about it with the intensity that he had. Those are some of the guys that motivated me kind of growing up. So I'm probably doing somebody a lot of disservice by not mentioning them right now, but there are a ton of folks outside of my team that motivate me every day. I understand that the folks that come here every day, they have a choice, and those guys, and ladies, they don't have to come here, but they choose to because they like the culture of what we've done and where we are and where we're going. They understand the vision and the picture of where we are and who we are, and that motivates me on a daily basis. So that as you spoke about a little while ago, as an entrepreneur, you get a whole lot of time inside your own head. You start thinking about a lot of things and understand what that looks like. And we go through, do some clarity breaks to understand, what that data dump looks like. But over time, that day-to-day motivating factor is this team that we have here. And I want to make sure that I'm giving them the best version of me, and I want them to give back the best version of them. And so, that's really that motivating piece for me. So,
Travis, is legacy important to you? And what do you want it to look like?
and honestly, I don't know if I've ever given really a whole lot of thought to legacy as much as opportunity. Whether that's opportunity for my team, to buy in and become part of something bigger for themselves, or my kids, or whatever that may be. I think it's really, for me, legacy would be more of a impact statement. Am I able to impact folks again? Building relationships, making lives better. If I'm able to fulfill my purpose, cause, and passion from that perspective, I think that's, if there's one person out there that feels like they're a better person for having met me, fantastic. But that's not the motivating factor for me, to create a personal legacy. It's an interesting question. I have to give it a little more thought, Adrian. So
when we do round two, right?
There we go.
I truly appreciate, I really enjoyed the conversation today, Travis. I want to give you the opportunity to share some final thoughts with the audience.
Which topic would you like me to, ponder on here over the last little bit here, Adrian? Is there something specific that you think your team and your audience needs to know a little bit more about?
Anything, just something that kind of concludes our conversation, all the topics we cover. What do you think? There's maybe an answer to a question you wish I would have asked, I didn't, for whatever reason, right? Just anything you wish you would have said during the conversation and you didn't have the opportunity to.
No, I mean, just if I'm looking at this just from an entrepreneurial perspective, or how do you get ahead in the industry, or understand what, from a business perspective, anything like that, you got to understand who you are, what your strengths and weaknesses are, do a personal SWOT, understand what your strengths, weaknesses, opportunities, and threats are, and understand how you can take advantage of your strengths, minimize your weaknesses, grow the opportunities, that type of thing. Um, Understand what you're willing to sacrifice, to achieve your goals. You got to set those goals and you got to chase those, pursue those. Um, and understand that I'm not a believer in work-life balance. I'm a believer in work-life separation. Um, you're going to have times where work's going to ask more of you than what your personal life is, and then you're going to have times where you're going to have your personal life is going to pull on you pretty hard, and you've got to understand what that balance looks like. But you got to be able to separate those. So I challenge all my team. Like I give my team a phone, and I'm like, when you go on vacation, give your phone up. Go be on vacation. Separate that work life from your business life. And so my family understands that. My team understands that. I expect them to be able to commit to their family because ultimately, you're not replaceable there. That's where you're doing all this really to kind of grow that anyway. So focus there. Make sure you get that separation. But set those goals. Understand the sacrifice it's going to take to achieve those goals, and understand what that effort's going to be, and give yourself those checkpoints to understand how you can continue to evolve and improve yourself. Not just for yourself, but for those that are, dependent on you, and that choose every day to come work with you and to do that with you. If anybody's out there trying to figure out that would be, key and critical to understanding what that purpose, cause, and passion and that path is that gets you to, I won't say enlightenment. If we're looking at Maslow's hierarchy of needs, that's the top of the pyramid, right? It's a continued evolution. And I've also challenged my team this year to look at success. If I ask you, what's Adrian look like when he's successful? The mentality a lot of times is, we're going to go take a flag, stick it on top of the mountain, and I'm going to climb the mountain to get to the flag of success. I challenge my team to say, hey, success is not a destination. It's a how are you acting when you're being successful? What have you done to achieve those mile markers and what you consider success in that path? And then once you've gotten to, say, 10 years down the road, I feel like I've been successful if I'm doing these things at that time. And you're going to continue to evolve because, again, once you get to that flag, what do you do now? You just walking back down the mountain, or is there another peak that you got to go get? And so, I challenge my team in that is to understand what does being successful look like, not necessarily what is success. So, so I would challenge folks to just have that, a little bit of that mentality, educate yourself, invest in yourself, always evolve, continue to grow, put good people around you. We've got one of our core values is build the team. I'm a big believer in that you're a sum total of the 5 to 6 people that you spend the majority of your time with. So here we ask everybody focus on those 5 to 6 people, that circle of influence that you have. Focus on them and elevating them. You'll naturally elevate with them. And so, if you've got that mentality, that servant leadership mentality, that focus drive, understanding goals, understand that path, continue to reinvest in yourself and evolve, great things are going to happen. Yeah. So I'm a believer in it because I'm banking on it myself. So that would be the conversation that I'd welcome with anybody that wants to understand more about what any of that looks like. I feel like I'm just starting my journey. I've really kind of kicked it off into the next level, and so where I am today, is going to be a very different guy in 10 years. So, but yeah, we're looking forward to it, and I'm looking forward to seeing where you are in 10 years. I think this is a great start. Adrian, I appreciate you bringing me on here and allowing me the opportunity to kind of ramble on a little bit about some of my opportunities that been blessed and really fortunate to be where we are today. And again, if I can do anything to help you in this journey, let me know. Love to help any way I can, Adrian.
Travis, once again, thank you so much for taking the time being with me, with the audience today. I hope to have a conversation down the road to get you back here maybe 6 months, a year down the road to share some new exciting stuff about your company and
Absolutely.
about how things, have evolved since our last conversation. Everybody, thank you very much for watching us today. I'm your host, Adrian Danila. This is Multifamily Chronicles. We hope to see you back here soon. Have an amazing day.